very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
Really?
Brexit means Brexit.
Why?
I'd rather be dead in a ditch.
China.
What?
China.
What?
China.
We looked at the dining table and saw an opportunity to play with whack.
Strong and stable.
Stood alone last night as
Kipper, you are fake news.
Why?
because the reality may be that you don't know what is going on, but people won't be able to tell the difference.
No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible.
Why? Just why? Welcome back to Why Just Why. We're starting on a biggie this week. We're starting our series on Donald J. Trump.
It's like a ghost.
Halloween special.
Let's be fair. We probably shouldn't say his name too many times. He might turn up behind us and start saying Jania.
That's the trick. Everyone goes to your mirror now and I dare you to say Donald Trump 3 times.
Yeah. Go and say it in the mirror and then it'll just appear behind you.
Like the Candyman.
Yeah.
Say it 3 times when he become president. No! You fools!
It'll just appear and build a wall around you. Oh my god, where did this wall come from?
And I'll get you to build it.
Why did I pay for this? Right, so as always, to my left we have Ian Reynolds.
Yeah, hello, folks.
To my right we have Dave Tinsley.
Yo, yo, yo.
And as always, I am Craig Taylor. Thank you so much for coming back, because this should be a good one, but it may be tough for some of you to listen to. Realistically, Trump is not exactly a universally loved figure, shall we say?
I don't know.
Depends who you're talking to.
Oh, I think everyone will actually enjoy the fact of how much truth.
We're gonna lay down some truth for you, guys. We're laying down some truth.
We're gonna lay down truth, and it's gonna be some hard truth to hear. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be the best truth that you've ever heard.
It's got to be the truest truth.
Yeah, it's gonna be the truth.
We're not fake. We have the truest truth. We have the best truth, and we have the only truth that is going to make Donald great again. Right.
Oh, we're kicking this one off then, guys.
Right, well, I'm going to kick this one off, and we're going to talk about Donald's early life and Donald's family life. So first of all, we need to kind of figure out, to talk about the man himself, where did he come from? Now,
What are his roots?
What are his roots? What motivates this man? What brings Donald joy?
Oh God, no.
Well, most importantly, what brought Donald money? Which is what really feeds him, and what really really makes him tick.
Money. Money. He just eats it.
Just
That's where it all goes.
Just eats money. Right, so I'm going to start by talking about his granddad. Now, his granddad was a guy called Frederick Drumpf.
Friedrich
Drumpf. Now, there's a bit of arguments over his last name, because Drumpf it's widely known to be part of the family history, but there's not really any records of when it was changed. They think it may have been changed before Friedrich himself was around, so he may have never gone by Drumpf. He went by Trumpf, which was like the European spelling of Trump, but then changed it when he went over to the US. But somewhere along the line, Trump was Drumpf.
I think it's probably one of those things where, like anyone knows a person who's from a different country and they try and tell you the name. And then you go, I used to know...
Hello, I'm Drumpf.
Yeah,
Trump?
Yeah, Trump, what? Yeah,
Drumpf. Trump? Yes, it's Trump.
I used to live with a fellow called Sebastian. Now, when he first told me that, right, it's a very simple name, very easy, but the accent, he went, Sebastian, I was like, what? And he was South American, so I went, all right, Pedro. And then I proceeded to call him Pedro for 6 months.
Just plants.
Until one time, one of his mates, his name is Sebastian. I was like, oh, Sebastian, oh, right, okay. Why didn't you tell me that, Pedro? So one of those things
because
just
Ian is what's known as a dick.
I heard Sebastian the first time. I just went, you don't look like a Sebastian.
He knew all along.
Back to the main story. On a balmy spring morning on the 14th of March 1869, in Karlstadt, Bavaria, there was a man called Frederick Drumpf born. Now, that was the beginning of the shit that we're in today, because realistically, no one knew it was going to turn out like this.
I love the fact that that was the beginning. Before then, they were all sane.
They were all sane, and then he appeared.
And then Trump go, yeah!
There is one small point as well that you've got to make it when you say that Friedrich Drumpf was born in Bavaria, is that both Fred Trump Sr., so Donald's dad, and Donald himself have flat out denied that their granddad, their descendant, was born in Germany. They keep saying that he was from Switzerland or Sweden, depending on who you ask. They just won't admit it. Because it was the war,
America,
basically.
yeah.
America and the war, and Germans
of course,
weren't.
yeah.
So, yeah, he was born in Bavaria. Bavaria is now part of modern-day Germany. So, I'm not going to talk much about his childhood. There's not a lot of information out there on Friedrich Drumpf and his parents. It's just starts from when he started to kind of gain prominence. And he emigrated before the age of conscription. That's where most of the records kind of start. So, he basically found out, and depending on what story you hear, he either told his mum he was going to make his fortune in the New World and go to America, or he left a note in the middle of the night and fucked off before all the MPs turned up and dragged him into the army. Now, which one you decide to believe is up to you, but both stories are out there.
Seen other fellas swinging their hands in the air, folks. And he went, no.
That was
I think you find it was 9.
No.
Now, that was a little bit early for that, Ian. We're talking 1869.
I bet you didn't know I spoke German.
Right, so what basically happened was he moved to New York.
Oh,
and
1869.
Okay. He moved to New York and he started a barbershop. So he was just standard barbershop in New York.
I'm just going to interrupt. 1869.
1869.
Fucking hell, he had a good in it. Like, because that should be his granddad.
That's his granddad.
My granddad was born in about 1912 or so.
You know how old Trump is?
Something like 70 odd.
Like 70 odd, yeah.
73.
Yeah.
But they all must have had the kids quite late.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Kind of.
Well, no, they had to. It's 1869. Kind of.
That's what I mean. Like, fucking, you're like in the 50s going, I'll pop a few out now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, it was his dad who kind of had him a bit later. I'll get to the dates. You'll hear
We'll
the
get
dates.
to that.
We'll get to that. Stop jumping the gun. So he emigrated, he started a barbershop, and things were basically just going all right for him. He was in New York being your standard workaday guy, cutting hair, making a bit of money. Wasn't enough for him. He then moved to Seattle because Seattle was part of like the new frontier. The Wild West was still kind of around in the late 1800s.
Stage.
It was like that transition stage. So Seattle was a fairly large city, but it was still very wild. There was fights.
Just bears roaming down the street.
It was a well-established city, but it was like you go into a bar and you're more likely to be shot in the face than you were to actually get a drink. It was that kind of place.
It's all the same around here now.
Well, yeah, pretty much. So it was a rough place. So he goes over there and he's never had any kind of experience in business before. He's never done anything like that before. He meets two guys, both of them turn out to be chefs, and he goes, okay, sound, I'll open a restaurant. So he literally goes and opens a restaurant in Seattle, and well, the place is an absolute shithole. It's so much so that even at one point, his chefs both got arrested for trying to kill each other. But so it's not the best establishment in the world.
Fuck you! That's definitely one chef was French, one was Italian. That's like the ultimate like connoisseur like war going on there.
Yeah.
Connoisseur, no, what's wrong with
Gourmet.
gourmet?
Gourmet?
Yes, gourmet.
Chef.
Gourmet chef. We'll settle on gourmet.
What's that? No.
You have to fight until the police get involved now.
Right, so he's in Seattle. He's making a fair amount of money. He's got a decent little restaurant going. Not exactly the classiest place in the world, but it's going. And then he hears that the amazing gold rush is happening in the Klondike. So obviously, as his Trump blood just tells him to do, what do? You follow the money. So he fucked off.
What do you say? What do you do? Grab a pussy.
We're not up to that bit yet, Dave.
Well,
Keep it in mind.
Like
It's
grandfather,
coming.
like son.
Oh no, it's coming. Just keep it in mind.
Oh, okay.
Right, so he follows the money and he goes and follows the gold rush. He then goes to Monte Cristo because there's rumours of a new mining concern that's being opened in Monte Cristo. So he's going to get in on the ground floor, he's going to open a hotel, and he's going to make loads of money. Yeah?
How much money?
Loads of money.
Oh, right. Just so I know how much it was.
Yeah, that's quite specific.
That's a lot of money.
I'm much like a business meeting. We can pay you loads of money.
Now, the other person before you made sizable money. How do you compare to that?
peasant.
I made loads of money. Right, so he goes to Monte Cristo. Problem is, it's already kind of built up. There's not much space left, so he opens up his hotel on the wrong side of the tracks. He opens his hotel in like the proper shithole in the place. He fills it with gambling, food and booze, and obviously because he's full of gambling, food and booze, it becomes one of the most popular fucking places in there, and he makes shit tons of dosh.
It's my tiny place.
Yeah, so he's again
Tiny.
he's making some good money, but as Trumps will do, that's not good enough. Gold gets struck in the Canadian Rockies, so he decides, I've got enough money, I'll throw all my stuff on my back, I'll fuck off to the Rockies.
Does he literally just sell up? Is
He
like,
literally
is,
just-
so is
yeah.
he just got, I'm doing this for a bit, but I make so much money. There's money over there, I'm selling up this
That
and
is
I'm off that way.
literally the life
Probably.
of Friedrich.
But
Friedrich Drumpf.
I suppose businesses were like that back then as well, more, weren't
It's just the way, but he's literally not even just over the country, because this next move takes him to the Canadian Rockies. He goes into Canada. He literally is just bouncing from place to place to place, making some dosh and then fucking off, and then making some more and then fucking off.
It's not like he's setting up franchises, he's literally just...
No, he's literally just going, no, fuck it, I'm done here, and then just goes. And
That's living
Yeah.
the dream. It's like, I'm bored.
Just switch like that, yeah.
but it's amazing as well that I mean I could talk about this guy. I'm running through this. This is like a whistle stop tour, but I could talk about this guy for the next 3 hours and give you all of the details. I'm just giving you the cliff notes.
I'm guessing he was
you
a
need
handsome
to
man.
read about this guy.
You're talking about him like you think he's a handsome... but
He's-
was he a dashing character?
He was a little bit of a if you saw a picture of him, you'd probably describe him as dapper.
Dapper down, yeah.
He was a dapper gent.
Did he have like a handlebar moustache?
He had to be.
Yes.
It wasn't full on handlebar. It was kind of like between handlebar and Magnum PI, but you know, it was a respectable moustache.
I'm jealous.
There's some warmth in my lungs right now, Jensen.
That's just the piss in.
Oh, God damn it, I forgot to go.
Right, so he decides he's going to follow the gold rush. Now, at this point, the rumours were saying that there was so much gold in the hills, it was running down the rivers. People could literally just be scooping handfuls of dirt out of the riverbank and they'd find a gold nugget. So the rumours were... I know, this is it.
Well, you definitely found a nugget, but I don't...
You find a nugget. I don't know how golden it's going to be.
Nowadays, that's called payday loans, isn't it?
Capital. But that's literally what the rumours were like. It was like gold panners were going up to the river and they were coming back with massive actual chunks of gold, not just gold dust that you see some like prospectors coming out with. They were coming out with big
not that
hunks of
fool's
gold.
What is that crap that
Pyrite, fool's gold, but it was real gold. There was actually a lot of gold in the hills, but
Be golden.
Golden
It was
hills.
golden.
in our hills. So he goes and he joins them into the Canadian Rockies to go and prospect. There's not a lot of info on what happened while he was there, but there is one story which is brilliant. So he's young, he's got no experience in the mountains. Loads of people have died on these trails because they're literally just walking in single file up these snowy passes, people passing out, loads of things are happening, loads of people just dying of exposure, lack of food, all that kind of stuff.
Well, realistically, everyone's just robbing each other.
Yeah.
People are stealing each other's shoes, all that kind of stuff. But there's a story where he's going up this place and it's notorious and it's called the Dead Horse Pass, because this is where all the pack horses and the donkeys just collapse and die at the side of the pass, right?
I'd love to see, like, just before the pass, the horse is like walking up and you look and go, no, 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 no.
Just read the sign.
It's like Sam out of Lord of the Rings. I can't go past this point. I'll never make it further.
This is where my journey ends.
And class.
So literally, right, they're all climbing up this massive, mountain, and they're going up this pass, and there's dead bodies of dead horses at either side of the pass where they've just collapsed, died in the snow, and they're just there. So, waste not, want not.
I was thinking that.
Trump's granddad, I shit you not, sets up a burger stall on Dead Horse Pass, selling horse
That
burgers.
is smart.
Yeah.
That's
Do you miss
that's
him?
just smart, though.
Yeah.
Is that not the best thing in the world? Trump's granddad was literally flogging dead horses.
He's ingenious, isn't he? That is.
But you miss when we had horse in the supermarkets briefly.
Oh yeah, I mean those horse lasagnas. There's that kind of that little bit of a kick that's not there anymore.
That buckaroo.
But it's stories like that where you think to yourself, this guy literally done everything that he could and would to make money.
I think it's clever.
I think, yeah, you know what? I've got respect
fault
to
it.
the guy. Mad props. Realistically, you've seen all that meat frozen fresh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it just freezes.
Frozen fresh,
Yeah.
sitting in the snow. You're just like, well, waste not one, no, fuck it, I'll cook it up.
That is smart, isn't it? I've enjoyed something. Okay, it's a shit one, right? It's a proper dad joke coming up. You have been warned.
We have a dad joke alert. Dad joke alert. Dad joke alert. Dad joke coming up.
Prepare.
Right? You know, gives you more bang for your buck. Right? He was getting more buck for his buck.
Dave, I think it's time we talked about Ian being on this podcast.
Oh God, that's a sign I'm getting old. I haven't even got kids yet. No, I have. I've got a dad. That's
I think
I have
He's
got
still
kids.
going on.
He's still-
we didn't
yeah.
enjoy the joke.
I think we should talk about getting rid of Ian.
Shall we cook him and sell him?
It's all blubber, lad. It's like,
Some societies live alone on blubber. We could get a good price for you. Sell one of your boobs and pay off all your debts.
The label. It'll just be a man boob on a label on the tin. With just a smiley face under the boob.
As like the nose, the nipples, you know.
Right, so back to the spoils of Friedrich. So we haven't got much detail on how much money he made, if he made any, apart from his horse burgers anyway, when he was prospecting up in the hills. But by May 1898, he'd built a 2-story hotel in the small mining town of Bennett. Now, this was supposed to be his kind of big thing where he's going to start making money again. He's got himself some property. He's settled down. All the money's going to come to him. He doesn't have to go and make the effort of actually chasing it down. Problem was,
So it's nice when money comes to you.
well, that is. I love it when money comes to me. It just never friggin' happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, money.
Come on, money.
Just roaming down the streets going, yeah, money.
It's just crawling towards you, the notes.
I wish there was like, you know, the dog whistle. You just have a money whistle. Just pound coins start rolling towards your feet.
Genius.
With just the Toys R Us music. Holidays are coming. Holidays are coming.
Hang on, that's Coca-Cola.
Oh, well.
Always Coca-Cola.
I just missed Toys R
I
Us.
told you we're sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Other soft drinks are available. So he builds this hotel, 2-story hotel, the town of Bennett. Literally just as it opens, all of the miners fuck off. They've run the seam dry. There's no one in the town anymore. Town's
Is
dead.
that because they seen him coming? Oh, fuck this.
Pretty much. I think they just saw him coming and go, nah, and then they just fuck off.
I had one of his burgers and I was on the bog for weeks.
So now he's got this 2-story hotel. So I suppose you can say it's the first like proper Trump building because he built it, and it's with jack shit because there's no one in the town anymore. Town fucks off. Now,
So it was a failure.
well,
True
now,
to Trump form.
oh no, this isn't true to Trump form. This is where he gets even more genius. This is why I love this guy. He gets the entire fucking building. He slides it down to the riverbank, totally constructed, and puts it on a barge. And he sails the barge down the river to the next mining town, where it's still full of miners.
What a hero. Like, I love this guy. This guy. Like,
The whole
I want to give him a slow
fucking
clap.
Yeah.
You said clap, don't toss him off.
I misspoke, I meant fair. I would have given.
Right, so he sails this thing downriver to where he can start to make money. Unfortunately, now this is in true Trump style, he didn't do his research, so he hit some class 5 rapids, completely fucks up the hotel, totally fucks it up, disintegrates on the thing, completely destroyed by the time it gets to this other place. So he's going to a place called Whitehorse, gets there, all he's got is bits of hotel. Bits of hotel on a barge.
Just like a bed and a door.
Just bits
No
of hotel.
walls.
Yeah.
Now, this is, again, give the guy his credit. He gets the bits. He rebuilds the fucking hotel.
Oh, fuck off.
Rebuilds a hotel out of the bits that he got so he doesn't have to spend any more money. And not only that, he goes to where there's a prime spot of real estate right in the middle of the town. And he plonks the hotel right on this spot. Problem is, he doesn't own it. Does he give any fucks?
No.
No.
No shit.
No fucks given. He just goes, mine, and then just plunks this hotel down in the middle of the town. Just goes, I'll have that.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, even from his granddad, you can just see Trump, obviously Donald Trump, just through this kind.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's amazing.
It's that business mindset of literally just I'm doing whatever it takes to make money.
Yeah.
Like, whatever
it's like
it takes.
this guy
Exactly,
though.
yeah.
This guy can smell money on the fucking wind. I swear to God.
Like, do you know when some people just know what they're born to do? This family just knows.
It's just unreal.
It's just good to get into
It is.
business, money.
I reckon they're the type of people, right? So when someone opens the wallet, they just go, £10.82 and £1
It's like they walk into someone's house, they open the change jar, and they just go, $84.76 and 3 washers. But this place, right? So he's dumped it in the middle of the town. It's not even his land. But he opens up anyway, and this is where you remember his first like restaurant, where that was basically a fight club, and then his second one, which is like on the wrong side of the tracks, so it's obviously going to be a bit moody, and he's serving booze and food and fighting and all, and it's again bit of a shithole. Now he's in the nice part of town now, so what's he gonna do? Shithole 2, the sequel! Hey!
It just does the same thing, invites all the different ruffians around, destroys the town.
Yeah. Now, it's labelled as a place for booze, food, and sporting ladies.
Sporting ladies.
Sporting ladies.
I love those sporting ladies.
Sporting ladies. So, now not only has he gotten into the barbershop business, the restaurant business, the gold mining business, the horse business, the hotel business, he's now in the whoring business as well.
He's in the service industry. That's
Yes. He's in the service industry.
He's just covering all aspects of that service.
He's got a tick list, hasn't he? Yep, done.
Yep. Done that.
Yep.
Tried that. Done that.
It's like someone's having a conversation, went, yeah, you know, and there's whoring. I forgot about whoring.
Oh, God.
It's like when you used to collect footy stickers and you just need that one shiny.
I mean, I've got the food to put in the guys' faces. I've got the beds for them to sleep in. I've got the booze to get them all. I need somewhere for them to put the dicks.
My asshole's full. God
Damn it! Where am I gonna?
My hemorrhoids won't allow it.
Do we have any sporting ladies in the area?
That's a boss little term.
Isn't that a boss? Yeah. Do you know the other term that I love, and it was from a Terry Pratchett book, so I'm showing me now credit here, is ladies of negotiable affection.
But see, that's wrong. That's negotiable. I don't think you can negotiate with a prostitute.
As long as it's before the act, maybe.
Ian doesn't like to negotiate, he just likes the act.
So,
Give me the act.
We'll say again. This part of the Trump family history is surprisingly absent when any of the actual like surviving Trumps decide they're going to talk about it. But it is documented. Friedrich, he got him some hoes. He was in the pimping game.
Oh yes, my man Friedrich.
Right. So we're talking now.
Big up Friedrich.
We're talking the late 1800s to the early 1900s, right?
I don't know if you've ever seen Friday.
Oh, yeah.
It was pimpin' since been pimpin'. That's the Trump family there.
Yeah, the motto.
Trump's, I'm a pimp, my daddy a pimp, my granddaddy a pimp.
We're talking early 1900s now. He's made a shit ton of money. And he's rich at this point. He decides he's had enough of twatting about in America. He wants to go home. He wants to get himself a wife. So in 1901, he goes back to Bavaria and he tries to settle down, get himself a wife. Now, realistically, if this had gone to plan, we would not have Donald Trump right now.
Right.
So what happens is he's been away for more than 8 years. And for the laws at that time, that means he had to reapply for citizenship.
What?
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah. So he had to reapply for citizenship. At this point, Bavaria wasn't part of Germany. It was like its own kind of thing, so it had its own laws.
Yeah.
And he'd also dodged the draft, regardless of whether he did it intentionally or not. Depending on which story you believe. Obviously, that pissed off the government.
Shucks, I just missed it.
Oh, whoops, I couldn't do my national service. Oh no. So, regardless of whether he'd done it purposely or not, he's come back and he's minted. So, the mayor of the town wanted him to get his citizenship back. The actual government, however, had a different idea of things. So, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of to and fro, and a load of letters. And it ends up being that he gets basically told to fuck off, and he gets deported from his own country.
What?
Yeah.
Back to America?
He got deported. Well, they didn't give a fuck. They just went, get out. You're not staying here. He could have gone wherever the fuck he wanted, but he weren't staying there.
I love that. I don't know. I don't care where you go. Imagine every country says no. Like just sitting on a barge, just
Sitting on a barge in international waters.
Loads of money around you.
Welcome to Trumpland.
But he came on a barge.
Population 1.
He turned up on a barge with a hotel on it, though.
Yeah, with ladies of
Sporting ladies, yeah.
But literally, right, the Crown Prince of Bavaria himself signed the letter to say, yeah, fuck off. You ain't coming in.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's how high it got, because it kept on going higher and higher, and he kept on writing these pleading letters to say, let me come home, let me come home. He was already there,
Right,
but let me stay home even.
Wasn't Bavaria quite small though? I'm guessing. I'm in the head. I'm just picturing like just a little village of 4 people going, no, you can't stay here.
No, Bavaria's,
You can go anywhere else, but you can't stay here.
Bavaria's quite large, but there was a funny one where I went on holiday once and we met, funnily enough, the hotel manager at the place we were staying, his name was Frederick, and he was from Bavaria. Just randomly, this is something that came to me when I was researching it. The guy was called Frederick, he's from Bavaria, and we ended up making friends with some German tourists who were staying at the same resort, and he was chatting to them in German, and then the Germans were kind of like, Bavarian. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean Bavarian? I was like, well, Bavaria is like between us and Austria, so we refer to them as like the missing link.
like Woolly Box.
Yeah, so they're like,
It's the German Woolly
they're
Box.
they're the ones in between us and Austria. But anyway, so he tries to get back into Bavaria, gets fucked off, and he does the only thing that a Trump could do. He completely reinvents himself as this amazing entrepreneur and goes back to America.
Okay, well,
So-
he was fairly successful.
He was fairly
You
successful.
got like, oh no, I'm gonna go back to America and make more money.
Make more money.
Oh no.
But this is the weird thing.
Why
right?
did he want to go back home then?
Well, he wanted to get himself a wife and settle down. He never wanted to stay in America. He just wanted to go and make shit tons of money and come back.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but now he couldn't get that, so he'd gone back to America. But in the time he spent in Bavaria, he found himself a wife, because things worked quickly back then.
I will buy you. Just went to the dad and just went, here's 10 grand. Pick a daughter.
Well, it's not far off. It's not far off. It was one of his neighbours, and she was called Elizabeth Christ, and he goes back to
James is
America.
sitting there now going, it's Francine. What the fuck?
So he goes back to New York. He's living there, and he ends up opening another barber shop on Wall Street. So he's minted, and he's working as a barber just because. And it's not like he's living a really nice life and living as a barber. He lives in a tenement. It's just like, for some reason, doesn't use his money. He just sits there on it for a couple of years.
So that's where he started as a barber, wasn't it?
Yeah, he started as a barber, but then he's just sitting on his money, and no one really knows why. But then, like, a little while later, he just decides to start investing in property in Queens, because there's like new developments going on in Queens.
Right.
And just on the cusp of when he starts to kind of roll his business together again, he ends up caught in the influenza epidemic in 1918, and he dies at the age of 49. And that's the story of Frederick Drumpf.
What?
So, like, that's a whistle-stop tour of Donald Trump's granddad.
So hang on, so he bought these properties before he died, did he?
So, yeah, he just started to get into property in Queens.
Right.
And that's when he ended up popping his clogs.
No,
but he
well-
died a rich man. His family was well looked after. It was really odd. And I mean, they do say that he was probably kind of compromised as well, because he was apparently a big drinker. That may be why the influenza got him. But it's one of those. He died at a relatively young age, left his young family to go on, and that was Frederick Drumpf.
Do you know how old his son was at this point?
Well, he had a young family, as we said, so we'll talk about Donald's dad now. The rest of, like, the cousins and stuff, they didn't really do much. It was his dad who went into things. So Fred Drumpf Sr. is what we call him. He was 12 when his dad died. When he was 12, he was a very clever man. I mean, people still kind of regard Fred Sr. as the clever Trump. He's the one who did the most. He's the one who's responsible for the Donald that we know and love today. So he was a clever guy. He was 12 and he was building garages for his neighbours. He was actually like doing blueprints for them and planning apps and everything. He was doing all this on the side when he was at 12.
Bloody
At
hell.
12, he was too young to get his own bank account, so his mum had to actually incorporate the business, because there wasn't a business at that point, because Friedrich never really got that far before he died. So she incorporated the
did stuff.
business as Elizabeth Trump and Son, because he wasn't old enough to have a bank account, he wasn't old enough to have a business. And then Fred built his first house at the age of 17.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, do you know what? It's like you talk about Donald and you think, oh, he's a fucking loser. But seriously, his family wasn't. They worked. They did their time. They did their money. Now, the real story about Fred is more that his money didn't really come from luxury things like Donald. Fred got his money from building homes for people.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Now, some of them, I mean, people have since have been like, oh, well, they're a bit shit. They weren't this, they weren't that. But the reality is that Fred, he benefited a hell of a lot from the government at the time. So if you think about Donald and the way he is now, and he's a staunch Republican, he's very like conservative. If it wasn't for the liberal policies that were in place when Fred Trump was around and building up his business, they would have no money. They would have the money they started with, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because Fred Trump, he was one of the kind of government funded capitalists, really, because there was a load of grants at the time that the government were just handing out to make sure that affordable housing was made, and Fred was on the ground floor of that. So as soon as there was a grant there, he was in the first guy in the queue going, I'll have a grant, give me the grant, I'll build all the houses you want. I'll have a grant, give me that grant as well, I'll build all the houses you want. He just kept on doing that, and he was building affordable housing for just general people.
Why would he need a grant if he got left loads of money from his dad?
Well, you still need that stake money to get these things going, and realistically every grant that he picks up is just more money in his pocket.
True.
So he was taking advantage of that, and he was making a hell of a lot of money.
No one's going to say no to free money.
No one's going to say no to free money.
Would you like a grant? I have enough.
I just didn't think he needed to ask for it, though.
Well,
Do you know
no,
what
this
I
is
mean?
the thing. It's not whether you need to. It's just being clever and getting the most that you can get.
Yeah.
He may have just made these houses anyway, but if he can make these houses, make a profit on them, and then the government's going to give him like an extra God knows how many mil to just go, just make sure you make those houses for us, please. He's like, well, I was going to anyway, but yeah, sound. Give us the money.
Well, only because you gave me the
Only
money.
because you gave me the money. Not that I already had the plans and the land and everything, you know. But this is the thing as well. He made out even more from his government connections that he made through these. So he made loads of government connections. And then during the times where there was the Depression and they were foreclosing on people's mortgages for building sites that weren't complete, they then have to get the courts to give out these building sites and get them to kind of go, okay, well, someone needs to do it. And through these government connections, Fred would basically just be living in the courts going, yo, I'm here. Give them to me. And he'd get all of these mortgages for pennies on the pound. So he'd still get more and more property, and he'd get more and more liens, and he'd get more and more money, and it'd just keep on going in this washing machine of like money.
That's a proper political thing of like, where you just piss away money, where you turn around and just say, well, this needs doing, and you go, oh, I don't want to do it myself.
Yeah,
Can we get someone to do it? And if you usually got the foot in the door going, hey guys, like, we'll give it to you. We'll piss away more taxpayers' money, and we'll just throw it at you, so we don't have to be arsed with it.
Is he also, because of this as well, is he also building like a network as well?
Yeah, he's got so many connections. But again, fair play to the guy. It's like between 1935 and 1942, he built 2,000 families' homes.
Right,
now, that is more than you can ever say for Donald.
Yeah, but Donald's built homes for a lot of needy rich people.
What about 12?
Really, a lot of rich people in need of a
really, really high-rise condo that overlooks Central Park,
where they can bring their sporting ladies.
Ladies of negotiable virtue. Around this time as well, I'm not going to go too deeply on it, but it's just some funny anecdotes with her, is that Donald Trump's mum, she was actually a Scottish immigrant. She was from the Hebrides, and she moved over to America to work as a domestic servant, and her name was Mary Ann McLeod. So she went over as a kind of high-end domestic servant, and she met Fred Trump at a tea dance, and they just got on, corresponded, and ended up marrying really quickly. It's actually quite a nice little story. But she married straight into money.
I'll just think for I'll go up my head now is that when Trump goes, I'm a Scotch. I'm a Scotch.
Oh yeah, I'm a Scotch. You're a Scotch what? Egg? You fucking bellend.
Because
I've never heard him say that.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, I didn't know it was my mum was Scottish.
Yeah.
I thought maybe somewhere distant or like some very minute.
No, his mum was from the Hebrides.
Oh my god! What can you, even like his ma would look at him and go, a Scotch? Donald, really?
Yeah.
The worst thing was,
I'm like, Donald, really?
well, she was from like really, really sticks in the Hebrides. Her first language was Gaelic. If you find some old interviews of her, it is that kind of Scottish accent where it is virtually not even English. It's very hard to understand.
Thick, yeah.
Proper thick Scottish accent from the middle middle of nowhere.
And that just turned Fred Trump on.
That well turned Fred Trump on. I mean, you know the Trump family. They're into a bit of a foreign accent. So to them, to him back then, that would have been like,
I must have this.
I must have this. But again, they had a pretty decent marriage by the sounds of it. But the funny thing is that she got straight into the business side as well. She was a worker. She just jumped straight in. And even in like...
Seems to do that, don't they?
Yeah, they seem to get some decent like working women who come into the business and just go, I'm going to have a bit of this. Just get on it.
Yeah. That's part of the selection process as well.
One of the funny ones with Mary is that she was seen regularly. So Fred, as we said, had a load of these families' houses, and they were kind of low-cost houses and stuff like that. They'd be these tenement buildings where they'd have the laundry room. Now, the laundry rooms were all operated by the people who own the building, so Trump, and Trump would put in coin-operated washing machines, which is quite wide-ranging in America, especially in the inner cities. You don't generally have your own washing machines. You go down to the laundry room, put a coin in, use theirs like a little laundrette. These coin-operated washing machines were emptied by Mary. She would go around and personally go and take all of the coins herself and go and collect them. But she'd do this wearing her mink coat and getting ferried around by her driver in a Rolls Royce.
Collecting loads of quarters.
collecting quarters from washing machines. Because she was just like, well, this is what you do when you're rich.
Every penny counts. A penny for me is the last penny for those peasants.
It's funny. The main amount of money, so we'll go on to the main area, which is why Trump was as rich as he was when he started, came from after the war. So Eisenhower, he funded homes for veterans after the war. And again, Trump, first in the queue, he was like, sound, I'll take all the money you've got, I'll build shitloads of houses, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Money.
Money, money, money. Fair play to him. He built thousands of new homes, but he had a very simple scam going, as you would if you're Trump.
Go on, what's the catch?
So he just basically asked for more money than he needed to build the houses and then never told them. So he just went, right, okay, how much are these houses going to cost me to build? 4 mil. Okay, can I have 10? Yeah, sound, there you go, here's 10. And then he just pocketed the difference.
No one asked for an invoice. Like, no one asked for like receipts or nothing like that. Or have you got any proof of the cost? No, I've lost that. Sorry,
this is it. And you know what? He almost got away with it. The news ended up going back to Eisenhower, and Eisenhower was fucking pissed. Obviously pissed because he's just got away with millions. So he dragged Fred in to testify in front of the Senate, and $4 million of taxpayers' money was found in one of Trump's bank accounts. So they were going through this like Senate hearing, and it was that stressful. One guy had a heart attack when he come off the stand because he thought, I am royally fucked here. I am royally fucked. So Trump gets his name dragged through the mud because at this point Fred Trump was like the champion of the working class. He'd build loads of houses. Champion of the veterans. And he's been skimming off the top for years. So all the way through this Senate hearing, he's sitting there and he's just basically like, can't do nothing to me. I ain't done nothing illegal. Where did it say that it was illegal to ask for that money?
Yeah, I asked you.
For that money.
You give it to me.
You give it to me.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
And all the way, through, right? He was just like, I'm doing anything illegal. Sue me? What were you? I'm doing anything illegal.
He's got a valid point.
Yeah. And do you know how he got away with it?
Go on.
He didn't do anything illegal.
Well, this 4 mil, right, he literally just said it was resting in his account. He intended to give it back.
The money was asleep.
He was having a nice little nap in his account.
Resting in my account. It was resting.
It was resting.
What's that of?
I think that was the first friggin' use. That wouldn't surprise me if he was the one who coined that term. I was just resting in my account.
Isn't it like, what's that fool? There's a fool with it. No,
Yeah,
forget
I
it.
feel like I've heard that somewhere else.
I think everyone's heard that. Oh, the money was just in there. It was resting in the account. I really genuinely wouldn't be surprised if that's where that came from, because this was a big scandal back then. It really did tarnish his reputation. But even through all of this, he was still making like houses. He was still making money. There was Trump Village he made, and then there was another scandal that hit them. But this was much later on, where they were accused of not allowing black and minorities to get houses there, and they were found to be guilty of it. They had people apply, and then as soon as someone applied, they put a big B on the application form of anyone who was black or minority, and they'd just be like, nope, bin. And just bin off. Yeah, and they were found to do that and fined, and it was just
I just love that difference.
B. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not even like, you know, like an X or a Q.
No,
or,
not even something clandestine. Just be black, gone. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You see these, like, the fail ones are red as well, but no, he's using black ink. It's
Yeah.
like, just black ink, just pour them all over it. Just like, this paper. Does this paper look white to you? No?
I think you know the answer to your application.
Exactly.
Right, so all of this anyway, this is what made him his fortune. Very briefly, we'll touch on his brother, because this is the reason why Donald is in charge. His brother, Fred Jr., was too nice. This is literally the reason. Fred Sr. put him in charge of a tenement block to kind of test him and see what he could do. What he did was, he went and spoke to the residents, and the residents were like, it's freezing here in the winters because all the windows are broke. And he went, okay, I'll get you new windows. And he did. So immediately, his dad was like, get out. Get out, you're no longer part of this business, get out. And he did, so he fucked off and became a pilot. Realistically, decent enough job, but not to the eyes of his family. His family were like,
businessmen, what they wanted.
Yeah, they wanted him to be cutthroat, and he just wasn't. He was a nice guy. And obviously this had some effect on him, because he ended up essentially drinking himself to death. And that's why that Fred Drumpf Jr. wasn't where Donald is now. Donald was the polar opposite. Donald was a little git. Donald was always in fights. The thing that sent him on the road to becoming who he was, he went with one of his friends into Manhattan and bought a couple of switchblades. And his dad found him with the switchblade and went, right, fuck that, you're going to military school. So he chucked him into the military school. And that's where he started to get this kind of really competitive streak as well that he's got now. And his dad and his mum fed that. There was testimony from one of the people who went to military school with him. Donald got voted ladies' man in an all-boys military academy. Right? Yeah. So he got voted ladies' man because every weekend Donald's mum and dad would come and visit him because he wasn't allowed to come home, military school and all that. But they'd have with them a new teenage girl. So some teenage girl, completely different than the last one. Every single weekend, new girl. And she'd be like fawning all over Donald and just like, oh, Donald, oh my God. Oh.
What?
Every weekend. So
I need to have words with my
not
parents.
saying,
Right?
not saying that his mum and dad were like the best mum and dad in the world, but
they sound like
They sound great.
realistically, it's like literally every fucking weekend.
That's mad, that.
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Got his way through military academy. He got into business school and he graduated from Wharton then with a degree in economics, of all things. I mean, seeing his recent economic nous with what's going on.
Well, no, like,
he's got a degree in economics from Wharton Business School. That really played into hand.
He understands it, so he can manipulate.
He knows that he's fucking the economy. He just doesn't care.
That's what gets his rocks off. He's like, take it, economy. Take it, economy. Take it, Barry.
So that is the early life of Donald Trump's family.
That is crazy, though. Interesting. I thought his granddad was interesting, though.
Seriously, I could have gone on about that for days. It's so interesting. Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
His granddad's badass, like, it is.
Definitely the coolest Trump, isn't he?
Yeah.
Love the fact he sold horse burgers. That's my favourite thing about him.
I actually think that is ingenious. I think that is fucking epic. Like, to sit there and go, because it's not like he's hot and roll mould or anything like that. He's rocked up once. That's some damn good meat.
Yeah. Not wasting that. Did Donald and his brother get on, like?
Well, from any interview you see, yeah, I think they did get on. And Donald himself doesn't drink, and I think it's because of that. Weirdly enough, Donald Trump's kind of like a very straight edge guy. Doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't smoke. He just eats a shitload of McDonald's and is a big fat weird orangutan looking git. But
well, we all have our vices.
It's weird. It's weird. I think it's probably because of that. He's seen the way that drink can consume you and kill you, and there is rumours that Fred was a bit like that as well, but then it's not confirmed, so he may have been kind of a family trait that he's trying to avoid.
In all fairness, I've met quite a few people who family members have had like drink problems and stuff like that, and they're like teetotal, strict, nasty. Whereas, like there was like drink issues in my family, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks fun."
yeah, it's such a good time.
That's kind of the only real ways you can go. You see that stuff in the and go, that looks fun.
I'm definitely the big drinker in my family.
You thought, I can drink more than you. Pussy.
It's the Trump part of me. I must drink more. I must be the best.
I'm the best alcoholic that there's ever been.
No one has ever consumed as much alcohol as me.
So that was the story of the early days of the family, where they got the money, and Trump up to kind of just as he's leaving Wharton. So after that, Ian, I'll take it away.
He left Wharton and got shot, and that was the end of the story.
We can only fucking dream, Ian. Don't tease us like this.
In an alternate universe.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
In a different time.
And the world was happy and everyone sang and was gay.
In a world where Donald Trump didn't become President of the United States.
Boris Johnson ruled the world.
No, go back, it's worse.
After his studies, he went to work for his dad, just in the lower tiers, learning how the business operated. When he
can't see him like being in the mailroom, can you?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, it's like, he had a look away. He looked at the mailroom. I see how this operates.
Post goes in, post comes out. Done. Next.
Promotion for me.
So after this one day of walking around site, he goes, he says, Dad, I think, I can do good. He goes, all right, okay, son. All right, okay. Well, you go off, do your own business, show me what you can do. And he goes, all right, well, can I just, borrow just a couple of quid just to get me started? How much? I mean,
For what now? What did you just say?
just a small million.
A small
million. Small million. As opposed to a big million.
So he takes a small loan from his dad, which he invests into the real estate business, and to try and build up his own portfolio. And then he goes back to his dad and turns around and says, look, Dad, look what I've done, look what I've achieved.
So it was a success then, what he did? Essentially.
We'll glaze
Oh, right. I'm speaking too soon.
more of a case of basically he used money.
He did some things.
Yeah.
And then he came back.
Yeah, like, he spent the money on houses and said, Dad, I have real estate.
But instead, he just had a gap year instead.
Like, so, son, what did you do with my $1 million? I have property. What property would that be? Numerous property.
Is it real estate? Well, it's not real. And it's in a state.
It's in a state.
So his dad then takes him on, and he starts managing his dad's portfolio of residential housing units in New York, which is the one in Queens that you mentioned before.
Yeah, Trump Village.
Yeah, in very early 1971. He was
Which
only
was very, very mixed community, we might add, of white people from various different white backgrounds.
A multitude of
white people.
Poor and rich white people.
No, it was poor and poor. It was just different poor white people from different poor places.
You're Newport, old poor. We're old poor.
Oh, do you come from new no money? We've had no money for a long time.
Look at these new no money.
They haven't even got holes in their jeans.
Don't realise that they're like smart prices actually. Ooh, fancy.
Only eaten from the dumpster once this week, have we?
Look at these tops. At the age of 25, 1971, Trump actually takes control of the business. This is actually a point where his dad hands off.
I didn't realise it was that early. I thought it was a bit later than that.
The age of 25. Like,
Jesus.
It was his dad went, but he's always, he's had a lot of experience all those years, and he's made something for himself. And the dad's like, do you know what, son? I trust you. He really didn't. He basically went, yeah, son, it's yours. Well done, mate. When he stood the sideline going, no.
Yeah. He's like, yes, it's all yours.
Yes, it's yours. Okay, buddy.
And then as soon as he's out of the room, everything he says, confirm with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
I don't give a shit if it's changing the toilet roll in the bathrooms. Everything he says, confirm with fucking me.
Yeah, go through. One of Donald's first things he does is renames the business.
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah. Rebranding.
What was the name of it again?
I knew you were going to fucking ask that. I fucking knew you were going to ask that. I googled the shit out of it and it just comes up with Trump.
Oh, right. Okay.
To rebrand it from Trump to Trump.
God damn
If
you
you're not
did.
going to ask it, research it.
I fucking did. I couldn't find it.
Well,
I was really hoping Craig did it. Oh, God, no, damn it.
sorry, dude. The only thing I found was
There's nothing out there on it, no.
the only thing I found was Elizabeth Trump and Son,
Yeah.
and then after that,
It just kind of goes
just becomes
dark.
Trump.
But I don't know if it's just called Trump or Trump Industries or Trump. Fucking, like...
Because he didn't really. I mean, Fred wasn't really that much of an epitist like Donald is. He didn't put Trump on everything. He did on some things, but not on everything. He'd just be like, "Oh, Trump built this," and then
Right.
it'd be called something else. But then occasionally do like Trump Village and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be that much. It wasn't as much as he did. So it's hard to find.
It wasn't even official Trump Village as well. It was kind of like unofficial named. So, anyway, any questions I'd like to ask Dave? And now, to be honest, when researching it, not a lot comes up. It comes up as Trump. Now, I don't know if it's actually like, you know, just Trump or Trump Industries or maybe something else.
Trump, true.
Yeah, but when I was looking into it, a lot of information that's coming back is just what it got renamed to.
Yeah, to be
Like
fair.
the Trump business got renamed from what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what?
That's strange,
I've
like.
got to agree with Ian because realistically, even when I was looking into it, when Fred Trump had stuff, it was originally Elizabeth Trump and Son, and then just somewhere, and I couldn't find a fixed date on this, somewhere it becomes Trump, and it doesn't even say what.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
Is it
Trump's
just
business, Trump's company. But what was it called? Was it just called Trump?
Yeah,
Or what? I don't know.
It's weird,
very
eh?
non-specific, but he changes the name to Trump Organisation or the Trump Organisation. Now, around this time, going like early 70s, going into the mid 70s, New York starts to go on its ass.
Big time.
Yeah, it really does start to decline.
This is the point where all the cops and stuff are giving up and that, aren't they? They're all just like, yeah, it's not
New
getting
York
better.
in the
you
70s.
don't give up, lad. You get fucked off.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
fired.
that's it, yeah.
These literally everything's on its ass. New York City itself, the council, is losing more in welfare than it's generating in taxes.
Right.
It's literally so
Hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
it's so disproportionate.
That's mad to think of New York, though, and that would, like, now to think of it.
Oh yeah, New
There's
York's
something
like
like
one of
that.
the most expensive bloody cities in the world now.
Yeah.
But then in the 70s, everyone was on their ass. Everyone was on their ass.
A lot of this, I mean, we spoke about before the fact that the side effects of decisions from previous MPs can actually have an impact on the next one. Do you know what I mean? If you make a decision, it might not be 10 years down the line till it bites them in the arse and you might not be in there. So I'm not saying necessarily it was all this fella's fault, even though a lot of the blame did get shifted on him. But the mayor in at the time was an Abraham Bean, right, during the mid-70s. But at the time, even now, it's a lot of negative media around him. So I'm not saying I haven't done all the research on every little motion he passed.
No, I know what you mean.
Don't worry, I
though.
won't ask.
Yeah. Fucking asshole. Fuck you, Dave. Under his control, the city itself, the city council itself, nearly declared itself bankrupt.
What?
Seriously, it was
was in a bad
ridiculous.
state.
And the only bit I could find as well, it's like as Ian said, there's not a hell of a lot that doesn't just essentially drop it on this guy's shoulders. But from the looks of things, it was like every previous mayor would just go, let's spend everything. I'm only going to be in for a little while anyway, and let's leave it to the next guy to completely sort it out because I don't want to.
I think you've both seen the documentary as well. There's a documentary on Netflix, and there's a quote on it which I absolutely love, so I'm just going to reference it. It says, politicians with money are like kids with marijuana. You have to tell them, this is all you've got.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that. I do love
After
that.
this, there's no more.
Without the money. But it's slightly offbeat, but what do you start looking like? I've been watching loads of like the Romans and thingies, stuff like that, and all the empires there. And actually, throughout history, It's your thing. Everyone in power just goes, spend. Then someone, like, their old advisors sitting next to them going, does he know he's got no money left? Does he? I'm not telling them. Fuck you. You tell them.
Spend.
I'm the government. I could just make more money.
So it's on its ass. In an attempt to try and, like, claw back some money, he lets go over 19,000 public workers.
Wow.
Like, including police.
Yeah.
It's seriously, right, I mean, you can't really imagine the state that New York was in the 70s. If you read about it, I can't even picture it. You're reading the stuff and going, but you can't actually visualise how bad it was. New York in the 70s was literally the purge.
Yeah.
It wasn't that far off, lad.
It was basically the purge.
You got a picture as well with this happening. You've got, like, refuse building up, like, less garbage and less policing.
Just piles of
Yeah,
shite
Piles
in the
of
streets
shit
everywhere.
rotting
yeah.
in the streets.
When there's austerity, crime goes up. Well, less policing. Do you know what I mean? Crime's only going to get worse.
Yeah, people were
Um,
shooting each other and literally just shooting each other in the middle of the street and walking away with it because they knew that no one would be able to stop them.
It was just, it was a bad sign for New York. Mentally, everyone's in a bad place. And when a society is in a state like that, it opens it up to a lot of corruption. So I'm just going to leave it at that point. Yeah, I was going to carry on with a bit. Yeah. So it was around this time that the Commodore Hotel, on the back end of it, going like kind of like mid to a bit later on, I think it was what, 1976, I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
That's my number. I like that number. It's wrong.
I will point out as well, a lot of these dates that we've been able to find,
Yeah.
they are very difficult to pin down exactly because, again, quite a lot of this information is coming from Donald Trump.
I mean,
Right.
it's come from Trump, but it's come from... I mean, I've looked at varied sources
Yeah,
as well.
I've looked at varied
and
sources.
dates seem to change. So...
Oh, right.
One source will say one thing, another source will say, oh, well, that was like a year later, and it's so difficult to pin down exact dates for these kind of things.
So I'm gonna say that kind of like just past around the midway point, the Commodore announced that its loss for that year was 1.5 million. That's a massive loss for the company to make. Now this is like right in the midst.
In the 70s as well, if you
Yeah.
think about how much that is
yeah.
today.
So it shows obviously like no one's. I mean, would you want to go on all these up like hiking? Don't judge me. I live there. Essentially, so you're not going to generate that revenue. So that starts going on its ass. It announced about a year later that they're going to have to shut the doors. They're going to have to close down. We're not making business. And this kind of like sets the scene nearly. So it's on its
Old Trump comes along,
Yeah,
sees
so-
an opportunity, does he?
Well, exactly. This is it. So at this point now, Trump starts to see this is his first chance of like his first major project. Other than that, he was just looking after his dad's estates. He was just basically, even though you can have the business now, son. Why? Because it's all there. You don't need to do anything. You can sit on your ass and it'll run itself.
Yeah.
So he hasn't actually had to do that. And so he sees this opportunity. He thinks, well, I want to make my own mark. I want to start off. I want to make my own name now. Trump seen the opportunity, and then approached the owners of the Commodore and set up a purchase agreement. Now, the purchase agreement was only it was buttons to set up this purchase shop, which is 250,000.
For a hotel like that, it's nothing.
It's buttons, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's thing is though, he didn't even have that. Like obviously because all his finances are tied up in the business itself.
Yeah.
Just because essentially Trump is now the director or gives the orders behind his dad's business, it's still his dad's business.
Yeah.
He didn't hand the business over. He just say you be in control, you be in charge.
So he doesn't have the money, he just...
Yeah, just not the money. So we didn't have that. Or the 100 million it would take to actually refurbish it. So he starts going around to see what loans he could get. And the most he'll get offered is 30 million.
Right.
Right? And these are all based on acquisitions. So they already have to own the hotel.
Right.
So he's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so...
What, he'd have to own the hotel
he'd have to have
to get this 30
he'd have to
million?
have the contract first.
Yeah.
To get the loan for the 30 million,
Oh,
which
I
is
see.
still not enough. So
To
he needs the
do the whole thing.
250,000 to get the hotel.
Yeah.
And he needs the 30 million.
But in
But-
reality, he needs a 250,000
Yeah, he needs
to get the hotel and 100 million to actually refurbish.
actually do it. And then he might be able to get to 30 million, but then he still needs another 70. So
Right.
he's playing around a little
Daddy.
bit. And yeah. Well, actually, this is actually quite an interesting part now. So he turns around and he approaches two people. One is an accountant of Michael Bacon and a lawyer named Roy Cohn. Now, accountants.
Roy Cohn.
There we go. So, accountants.
Did you use their thunder?
If anyone has never heard the name Roy Cohn before,
Nevermore.
he was a criminal. Sorry.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
No. I'm actually no.
At this point, it was allegedly.
Right. Okay. Sorry. If anyone's not heard of Roy Cohn, just a little background, basically, that he had 3 criminal charges put against him, but he was acquitted of those charges, and they were along the lines of blackmail, intimidation.
Yeah.
This fella he represented a lot of famous people as well, and a lot of political people, and people involved in the mob, the mafia, and other crime syndicates.
From what I know of, there were 5 major crime families in New York at the time.
But they were up. It's all the part of the mafia. The mafia breaks down to
Yeah, they all break down into things, but there was 5 major crime families involved in the New York area, and Roy Cohn represented every single one of them.
God.
It's not like
Not like 1 or 2. He represented them fucking all.
things that they're not like going to go take each other to court, are they?
No, but you'd think it'd be like the crime
see you
families
in
are rivals.
Like
You'd
talking.
think the lawyer might know something. You know what I mean? You wouldn't think they'd use the same solicitor. But no, apparently he was that much of a scumbag. All of them fucking used him.
But at top level, they're essentially like kind of they're not rivals.
Yeah, they kind of are and not. They keep them.
Because they're essentially all part of the same thing. They're all part of the mafia. They're not.
Right,
I'm going to go on a different tangent.
We're not getting on this because this is something that again we could probably do another 6-parter on, and it'll be very interesting. But we're not getting into the basics of the mafia.
But yeah. Anyway,
plus the fact we'll probably end up at the bottom of the Mersey wearing concrete shoes.
Not now. What kind of?
They're still around.
I know, but like, this is the own corporation. It's like the own Apple.
Yeah, true.
They would resolve things in court now.
Yeah.
The
mafia just became legitimate in the end.
Some of the techniques basically you allegedly used was things like he'd phone you up, have a conversation, be all nice and polite, and then he'd just subtly drop in information about you.
What do you mean?
So he'd have something he can use to blackmail you on.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So he might phone up a judge, just, oh yeah, how are you doing, and the next thing just say something subtly, and then just pause.
How was that guy in the bathhouse the other night?
Yeah. And the next thing, he'd just say, I've got a case on this. And the next thing, something's going in his favour, or something get thrown out, or...
He was a snake. He was.
It was a lot on apparently anyway. Allegedly, it's a lot on information. He'd have his fingers in many pies. He'd learn a lot, and he'd just use it over everyone to manipulate to get what he wanted.
Yeah.
And in a time where corruption and they say that the city was on its ass, this man is powerful. Do you know what I mean? This is a powerful man to have in your pocket. To be honest, I didn't read it. Right, but I'm guessing it's an interest. I kind of skimmed bits, but basically right now the FBI actually have a 750-page document that you can read out all the things that they had, and actually there's loads of stuff on the end that didn't actually take,
Yeah, I found this document on Roy Cohn, and it's. I'm not gonna lie, I skimmed bits of it and went, I can't read this. I can't do it.
Is
it harder than reading Mein Kampf?
Yeah. That's
the sad thing is, it's a pretty interesting read. It's
like, whoa, yeah.
It's a big read.
It's a long read. It's 750 pages of A4
legislation.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Size 8 fonts. Do you know what I mean?
This guy done a lot. Yeah.
I can only read Roman. No, can't remember it.
Times New Roman.
Oh, boo!
That's the one. Times New Roman. It's usually wingdings.
He's your side to the underworld. He can open up a lot of doors for you and close some that you want them closed.
But he'll pry them open again.
Together, they come up with an idea, a little concept, right, of how to actually get the Commodore Hotel. And this idea basically starts with Fred Drumpf. Now, Fred, he's got a lot of connections within politics anyway, through the building of
basically
properties.
Through what I was saying, through all of the connections he made, he knows everyone.
Yeah. So because of this, he introduces Donald to this mayor, Abraham Beam.
Okay.
So they start getting on a friendly basis. Now, it's always handy, not only if you've got a good accountant in your pocket, you've got a corrupt lawyer in your pocket. Now you mate with the mayor, who is he's
known to have basically single-handedly flushed New York's finances down the
Yeah,
toilet.
yeah. So the idea starts off with a request for a 40-year tax abatement from the New York City Council.
So they're just not paying tax basically at all for 40 years.
Yeah, just said, oh, okay, well, you know, sod off. We're not paying that. We're not putting that money back into the city so it can help society. This is how they justify it. Give us it because it's going to be good for the local economy. What? So it's going to be good for the local economy for you to not put money into the local economy?
Yeah, but you're not thinking like someone who doesn't want to pay tax, Ian. You gotta think outside the box if you don't want to pay tax. You gotta think, oh, that's my money.
That's my money.
That's my money. Not your money. I don't want to give you my money.
My money.
So you do all this stuff like, oh, but think of all the jobs it'll create while we're building it, and then
Not
that'll be
paying.
done in about 2 years, and then there'll be no more jobs, and then
That's it, yeah.
give us the tax. Give us the tax. Give us all the tax.
That's 40. It's not like, you know, a tax abatement while we build it for those 2 years so we can pay workers and stuff like that. Or, you know, some other crap. It's 40. What, it's going to take you first 40 years. 40. It's not a few years. It's not like, oh, can we balance out or kind of roughly break even?
Yeah, wait
Or
till we break even, then we'll start paying tax or
Yeah,
something like that.
no, 40 fucking
40
years.
years.
It's insane, like, isn't it?
That's a massive tax abatement. And to date, the most recent estimation that I could find, it all varies around this amount, so I'm going to say it, is around the 400 million.
Fucking hell.
What, that's how much he saved?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
In the 40 years
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
that he's taken away from.
So you're saying that
It's 100 million
because
a year.
of this, so he's basically paid for it 4 times over.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's mad, that, isn't it?
That's quite healthy, that, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, just a bit like.
Again, clever man.
I'm not still sticking to that number. That's just the best my research can
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
And that is only a current estimation.
Yeah, numbers to do with Trump is a very difficult
Yeah.
situation.
Could be higher, could be lower, could be you've literally got no idea. But that's
Depends on
average
when you
estimation,
catch him
we'll
as
find
well.
out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. This request for a 40-year tax abatement gets proposed, and then it goes through. It goes through in 1976.
Do you think
right?
they actually knew that it was gonna cost the city 400 million at that time?
At that
Or do you think
time-
they were just like, fuck it, it'll never work anyway?
It got quoted. It would only cost the city something like, I think it was 100 million, quarter of that.
Well, that's bit them in the arse then, hasn't it?
So, but even still, like,
100 million even still, yeah.
it's like
Nah.
that's
But then at
quite a
least you
lot.
can argue that he was doing the break-even thing. Do you know what I mean? It was like, but then he's essentially getting a hotel for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit.
That's a fucking.
He's saying basically
Jesus.
2.5 million a year. I'm not going to give you, but you'll make that back from taxes that people are working here or money you're people bringing in.
Yeah, tourists coming and
tourism,
staying
tourism.
and all that stuff.
That's just the tax-free money he's getting. Think about the profits he's getting from
Yeah,
it anyway.
Yeah.
on top of that, which is just nuts. So this gets approved. Part 2. This is a lovely little one. Now, for it to be passed, part of the paperwork, the request proved that he actually does own the building.
Right, so he's still got to try and get this first.
So the abatement got approved, but then they need the paperwork to say, okay, to put it through, and here's your abatements to kind of give it back to say, here's the paperwork for it to prove that you got your abatements. We need paperwork to prove that you actually own the hotel.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he bought the hotel first. but
No,
obviously he
this
hasn't.
is the part of beauty of this. So he sends a copy of purchase agreement, unsigned,
Oh, for fuck's sake.
to them, right? Which gets approved.
What? That's ridiculous.
And now, so right now, he doesn't own the hotel,
Yeah.
but he's got the abatement. He still needs the other 17 mil. And then this is when, which he has lined up, because he knows it's going to happen, the Hyatt Hotels Corporation. He's actually in conjunction with them. When he gets the abatement, they're waiting on the sidelines to say, okay, we'll buy the hotel. You get your loan of your 30 mil and we'll put up the rest.
Yeah.
And go
So-
in business with him, which is why it's called the Grand
The
Hyatt.
Grand Hyatt. So he's basically
right.
playing every side off each other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do you know,
Oh,
even
yes.
back then, the guy knew how to play basically info. He's never been a businessman. He has been a con man from the day one.
Yeah.
Because you know, do you know what it stands for? Con man. Confidence. He's a confidence man.
The whole confidence trickster.
So that's literally what he's doing. He's going, I've got the money. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
And then someone else is going, oh, look, he's got the money. We should invest in him because he's got money. And then he goes, oh, look, someone's investing in me. They've got money, which means I've got money. Don't you think you should invest in me too? It's
Right.
fucking insane.
do you know what, right? That is the nail on the head. And for anyone listening to, like, literally our future episodes, you are going to see, right, this correlation. You are going to see it so much. We're setting the stage.
Well, yeah, you just
for what type of person, how he generate, or how he works.
Well, it's just funny, innit? Because you're seeing how far back what he's like now as president is exactly as what he was like then.
Yeah.
In his first big project.
This is his first project.
And he's still got elected president. It's just like, what?
I'm going to be honest, it's smart. And what we learn as well later on, because it's not all by himself. Notice how we found the other two guys.
Oh,
Right?
he's a master manipulator.
He knows who's good at what. This fella.
It's like he find qualities, innit?
He
in people.
good. He can see. He knows what he needs.
Yeah.
And if he hasn't got it himself, he goes, "I need this. You've got that. I want you.
Yeah.
You've got that. I want you."
That's it, yeah.
He'll
And
find a way to
clever.
find the people. He is. I'm never.
He's a
A
smart
lot
guy.
of people think
whatever
he's
you think,
stupid,
like.
but in certain aspects,
Oh yeah.
he's very clever. In others, he's a fucking dumbass. But
Oh, yeah.
in certain aspects, he's very clever.
In business, he's spot on, isn't he? This type of business kind of thing.
I hate to say he's a good businessman because he's not, and he's blatantly not. But he's good at manipulating people.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what he's
that's the
good
best way of
at.
putting
That's
it,
what he's
yeah.
good at. He's good at manipulating people.
Yeah, literally in a nutshell, that is. Oh my god! But when I researched that and I seen that, I was like, oh no, he didn't. Oh my god! Like it's such.
No, he didn't.
Like to work that plan up, like I've got that right, and I'll tell them that, and I'll bullshit that, and I'll thingy, and hopefully everything's gonna come together. And if it doesn't, shit it.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't care about the consequences.
Oh
Like,
no, it all fell apart.
I mean, it's surprising he hasn't been to prison, really. For
No,
anything.
because the money's only ever resting in as a go.
he learned that from his daddy.
that old get out of jail free card.
Right, folks, we are gonna end it there, unfortunately.
But yeah, this has been a content heavy one, really, to just start the Trump story off, but needless to be told to build it up for the next few episodes we've got coming up.
Yeah, but we are going to pick up where we left off from this episode and carry on with. Well, now we're actually on him fully. The rise of Trump,
Yeah, this is how really he.
where he rises
yeah.
like a fart in a jacuzzi.
Wait, essentially, yeah, because he just exploded into
Exploded into the world, and then everyone goes, "What's that?"
With that lovely image.
He snuck out of a crack and blew up into the world.
But yeah, with as Dave said, with that lovely image, thanks for joining us this week. We will be carrying on next week with part 2. We will pick up where we left off. As always, if you would like to talk to us, all of our social media links, our email, everything like that is all down in the description. If you'd like to talk to us, give us your comments, like, share, subscribe, help us grow. It only benefits you because realistically we can make more of these.
Yeah, that's right. So, see you next time then, guys.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
All right, much love, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.